the names of prominent white nationalists, white supremacists. What leftists would do that? Are you insane? Met with a right-wing gun tuber who was running for Congress. His name is Brandon, also known as the AK guy. Talked about how much he liked Brandon, the AK guy, in his manifesto video.
On the horrific of Charlie Kirk, government and local officials said that Antifa inscriptions were engraved in these bullet casings that Charlie Kirk. It appears to be a trend, especially after what we saw in the Annunciation Church, Catholic Church. Additionally, Stephen Miller recently commented on the rise in this.
When I see the side reporters, I know. When I see the side reporters, I know it's going to be some fuck shit. That's the Turning Point USA, Tim Pool contingency on the side. Even worse than the average reporter that you see from all of the preordained mainstream platforms. Yeah, everything is Tesla, everybody transgender, everybody autistic. Anyway, we're still waiting on this, but we're still waiting on the administration coming out and making their big revelation about autism. But let's get back to the White House saying that President Trump will designate Antifa as a domestic organization. Women are getting less vaccines? No, I didn't say that. Yeah. Everybody knows women are getting less vaccines. That's why they're less likely to be autistic. Duh. And not because of the diagnostic criteria expanding for men, but not necessarily for women. That's not the case at all. Come on now.
Kind of violence, saying there is a domestic movement growing in this country. The president is designating Antifa as a domestic organization. I'm wondering, what is the approach to holding these people accountable, just to ensure that violence like this just is eradicated moving forward?
Sure. Well, Antifa is going to be designated a domestic organization. The president intends to sign that executive order very soon as it's drafted, as soon as today, later this afternoon. And this is something the president campaigned on, because we have seen a rise in violence perpetuated by Antifa, radical people across this country.
By the way, none of the instances that Jean Grey over here, Timu Bargain Bin Jean Grey, mentioned were actually radical Antifa at all. The Annunciation Church was not done by a radical Antifa. It was done by a radical white supremacist. But of course, who gives a shit about the truth, right? Nobody. And I mean, nobody cares about the truth. There is no reason to or not Jean Grey, whatever, Rogue, sorry. Shut up, it doesn't matter. Shut up, Timu Tulsford, okay? No one is correcting the record. It makes me so mad. It's so annoying, dude.
Who subscribe to this group. And unfortunately, it's gone widely uncovered by many in the legacy media. It also went completely ignored by the previous administration. Not anymore. Not only, as you mentioned, were the bullet casings subscribed.
Can you show the evidence then? What do you mean? The Annunciation Church literally painted his gear with prominent white nationalists and white supremacist mass names. Like there were slurs on it. That's one thing, but it also, the dude literally had Anders Breivik on the weapon, saying 6 million Jews isn't enough on the weapon, or no, on a potential gas bomb. What are we talking about? Correlation is not causation. Wait, what? Correlation is not causation? That's not a correlation, you moron. I'm directly addressing the false narrative presented that this person who did a church that is almost identical to previous mosques and churches and other mass of similar other mass that are identical, literally had those same right-wing, far-right figures and their names on his gear. It's ridiculous. And these guys still claim shamelessly, because there's no pushback whatsoever, that that person was a leftist Antifa. He was talking about autism and medicine. Wait, what? What? Oh, he's talking about autism and medicine. Jesus Christ, that is a mobile chatter. Holy shit. Cope Harder liberal says COO of Antifa. Shut up. Don't even joke right now. Even my racist ass Trumper dad saw the stuff from the Buffalo and said that was a white supremacist guy targeting black people. Yeah. TVP 43. Thank you for the 50 gifted subs, by the way. Yeah, 2008 internet Wi-Fi, tuning in from a Motorola Razr phone. That's like an hour ago. We were talking about that an hour ago, the autism thing. Y'all are so mean to us mobile chatters. Yo, what kind of delay does this mobile chatter have? That was straight up from an hour ago. I cannot believe that these are still claiming that this was a radical Antifa. Like, what the? Is there photos of the gear or not? Ads again? No, I'm not. I'm not running ads. It's probably your it's probably your ad blocker. Westman posted 2 YouTube videos showing writings which reference extremely violent thoughts and ideas, a message addressed to my family and friends, and a drawing of the layout of a church. The video showed messages written on the guns and magazines. These messages included anti-Semitic, anti-Catholic, and racist phrases. Donald Trump, 6 million wasn't enough. And the names of several white supremacist and white nationalist okay? The names of prominent white nationalists, white supremacists. What leftist would do that? Are you insane? Met with a right-wing gun tuber who was running for Congress. His name is Brandon, also known as the AK guy. Talked about how much he liked Brandon, the AK guy, in his manifesto video. It's ridiculous. Obviously, an Antifa trying to frame the right. Oh, yeah, totally. Totally, definitely. Famously, that's how it goes. The blonde bimbo is talking about a different view himbo. They're using Helldiver's bullet as an excuse. No, dummy. She brought up the Annunciation Church. She did. Walmart Tulsi Gabbard is the one who brought up that as another point of evidence for leftist Antifa violence, tying it to this of Charlie Kirk, which, once again, neither of which is proven to be like any even remotely leftist or Antifa at all. For the Annunciation Church, we have more evidence that he was right-wing. With Tyler Robinson, the only thing that we can associate with his politics is the fact that despite coming from a MAGA upbringing, he doesn't think trans people should be. That's it. That's like, I guess that's what it takes for you to be Antifa nowadays, you know?
Widely uncovered by many in the legacy media, it also went completely ignored by the previous administration. Not anymore. Not only, as you mentioned, were the bullet casings subscribed with Antifa mottos, if you will, in the heinous of Charlie, but there have also been more examples than I could read off for you here in this briefing room today of violence from Antifa. I will just read a few. In July 2025,
I need you to understand something, by the way. I need you to understand something, okay? There is no domestic terror organization designation in this country, okay? There is none. You can't do that. It has to be a foreign organization because as a designation is so expansive and intentionally vague that it actually, you can't do that to domestic organizations. I know this because there are a fuck ton of very well organized neo-Nazi networks and white supremacist networks that this administration has kept consistently stating are actually covered under the First Amendment, and therefore there's nothing they can do about it. Okay? The only time where they actually investigate these organizations is when they are about to do violence, right? Atomwaffen is a great example of this. Atomwaffen is a neo-Nazi group that specifically recruits from the military, and they have time and time again like stolen military gear to try to like blow up railroads or attack like critical infrastructure, things of that nature. And only then do they actually prosecute and investigate these organizations. But those organizations can still march, right? Those organizations can still get permits to go and march, quote unquote, peacefully, right? Patriot Prayer is a great example of this. Patriot Front is another example of this. The 3%ers. The only time when these guys actually get prosecuted is if they do January 6th, which, of course, Donald Trump, we already know, does not consider that to be a violent thing at all and has rewarded those people with freedom and leniency. Okay? This is because, as you've said before, Antifa is not an organized party, so who's being penalized? Anyone and everyone. That's the reason why not only is this designation in direct odds with the First Amendment protections, freedom of association, freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of political organizations, but there is, yes, political smack is correct. In the United States, there's no legal mechanism for the government to designate a domestic group as a domestic organization. While federal law provides a definition for domestic, it's not a specific federal crime, and there is no equivalent process to the foreign organization designation used for international groups. This is the reason why the Trump administration is actually going after an international donor, an American citizen that now lives in China, in an effort to go after Answer Coalition, Palestinian Youth Movement, Party for Socialism and Liberation, and numerous other organizations that actually are anti-war protesters. They are trying to tie it back to like some kind of international donor. Okay? On the domestic front, on the domestic side, on the domestic front, they are actively trying to designate Antifa as a organization when there's no legal mechanism to do so. Antifa itself is also not even an organization to begin with. It's not. There is no organizational structure. It's not a real thing. It's an action. It's like saying that you're anti-racist. The administration is now going to go after anti-racism as a domestic terror organization. That's nuts.
Several members of an Antifa cell ambushed and opened fire on officers at an ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas, and one officer in the neck. Also, in July 2025, 3 Antifa members were charged with assaulting a police officer during a violent riot outside an ICE facility in